everyone. Thanks for joining us with Bank of North Dakota's Ask Stacy and Amanda on Facebook Live. So I'm starting a little bit late. Emily and I were doing a practice run and we were having such a good conversation. I didn't realize that we were just practicing. So here we are live, Ask Stacy and Amanda with Emily, our student intern in the Communications and Marketing Department. Like always, give us a thumbs up, like us on Facebook, turn on those live notifications, and you'll be notified every single time we go live, not just on our usual 2:30-ish on Tuesday spot, but any special events that we have throughout the summer and the school year as well. So if you do have a question about anything we're talking about today, leave us a comment below or send us a direct message and we will respond to you as soon as we can. If it's actually live during the video, we'll do it live like right now. So today, like I said, we're talking with Emily. We're here at the bank again. And we are talking about students taking control of their financial future, specifically their financial aid future in regards to financial aid and student loans with a real live student, which is really exciting. So Emily is a Bismarck native, but you're going to be a junior at Northwestern in Iowa this year, right?
Yes, that is correct.
So over the summer, she's interning in our Communications and Marketing Department and learning a lot about a lot. So Emily, how long have you been an intern here at BND? So far?
About a month now.
About a month. So we're keeping you busy?
Oh, yes.
So busy.
Very busy.
So over the last month, what kinds of things have you been working on? Or what's, maybe a favorite thing that you've learned so far?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been working on writing a couple of different handbooks. One of them being a handbook for non-traditional college students. And now I'm also working on a handbook for college graduates and what they should be thinking about in their personal finance life. So I've been learning a lot about saving and paying back student loans, planning for retirement, even when you're a 20-something-year-old. So lots of good information. I'm learning lots, not only for the sake of other students, but for myself too.
Yeah, I think when you're done here over the summer, I think other students are really going to be benefiting a lot from what you're working on this year. So that's really exciting. So speaking of, all of the stuff you've been learning. So in regards to financial aid and student loans and all of that, before you started working here at the bank, did you really know much about financial aid and student loans, or just about the average that a college student would?
I think I could somewhat confidently say that I knew a little bit more than most, especially in conversations I had with peers. I just really took the time to read through my financial aid paperwork and loan terms and conditions, because I knew that I would be paying those back after I graduated, and so I wanted to gain as much knowledge as I could on the front end of things. But I'm definitely learning a lot more now that I'm here at the bank.
For sure. So some students and probably a lot of parents out there feel really intimidated about the financial aid process and student loans. And I mean, that's what I hear when I'm out in the schools, when I'm talking on the phone with parents, and I'm sure, you and your peers and friends and roommates and all of those folks you encounter throughout the year talk about the same thing because you're all going through it. What were some of the fears that you had, or maybe the concerns that you and your family talked a lot about when going through and continuing to go through this whole financing college process?
Definitely. I think probably the biggest fear for me and my family was making sure that I was taking out all that I needed to cover my expenses, and also knowing whether I was getting the right interest rate, the right repayment plan option set up. So I was just really worried that I was going to make a mistake, that I was going to do something wrong. But kind of the best way to abate those fears is simply to do your research.
Which it sounds like you did.
Yes, lots of research and talking to a trusted adult, whether that be a parent or a banker, or maybe you have somebody in your family, your extended family, that knows a little bit more about financing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that definitely was empowering to me.
Totally. And I think one thing that is important to note is Stacy and I talk, with someone almost every week, and we just really emphasize, like, if you don't know who to go to, there's a resource out there. And, we say, yeah, go talk to your parents, but maybe some parents just, they've never done financial aid. They've never done student loans. I know when I was going through it, I mean, my parents had no idea. So we just kind of try to figure it out. But I think the important thing to know is that there's always someone to help. And if you don't ask the right person the first time, you'll find somebody to ask. They'll get you going in the right direction, which is really great. So while you were, taking the time to really learn about that financially, that student loan piece and financing college in general, was that kind of empowering to you as a young person? And I guess now that you're learning about retirement, all of that, like, you're really setting yourself up for success in your adult life, because you know how much, your student loan payments are going to be, about how much your, balance at the end is going to be. Yeah. So you can just kind of really, make decisions that are going to help you later down the line. Definitely.
I think it's helped to know kind of how much I've taken out thus far and how much interest is affecting that. Because I think it can be a bit of a surprise for students sometimes when they get to graduation and they get that first student loan payment bill, and it's kind of like, whoa, I didn't realize that I'd taken out that much, or that much interest had accrued over time. So I think it's really important to kind of keep track of those things, printing off I know a lot of student loan servicers do online email communications, and so making sure you're printing those things off and kind of keeping file folders each year of your different financial aid paperwork or loan forms, and just making sure how much debt you're in.
Yeah, because I mean, that can be really surprising for, someone who's 21, 22 years, however old you are when you graduate college, about 22-ish. But, as a person who's just starting off in life, and you look at your first student loan bill you get after your grace period ends, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have how much in student loan debt, and your interest had accrued that much over, however long it takes you to graduate, 2 years, 4 years, even up to 6 years. And especially if you're going into grad school or a professional program, I mean, just keeping that running total and keeping organized, like you said, is super important. And since you're the one who's doing that and not your parents, I mean, you're not going to be surprised. I'm sure there's a lot of, of my peers, your peers, and everyone in between who, looked and were like, oh, what did I do? So yeah, just keep track of it. That's really, really important. So speaking of, that accruing interest, because a student loan is a lot different than, say, a car loan, a mortgage. Most of the time with a loan, you have to start repaying it like right away, where a student loan, you get to wait until you graduate from college or fall below half-time. Stuff like that. Yeah, when you enter repayment and exit that grace period, I mean, you have years of interest accrual, which, really adds up over time. So what are some ways that maybe you and your peers have talked about trying to, keep either that borrowing to a minimum or chip away at that student loan debt while you're still in college?
Definitely. I think it's important to realize that because you are in that kind of grace deferment period, you don't have to pay, but you can make the conscious choice to pay. And that makes things a whole lot easier after you've graduated. But some ways to kind of chip away at that debt bit by bit is to consider maybe channeling a portion of your paycheck to making an interest payment, or kind of lowering that balance a little bit. That's really helpful. Another thing that you can do is invest birthday money, or maybe grandma writes you a check every Christmas. That's money that you can apply toward your student loans or financial aid. A great way to save money when you're going to school, I think, is to think about your textbooks and buying used, or choosing to rent. There are a lot of really great places online that you can rent or buy used textbooks for relatively cheap price. So that definitely helps cut down some costs, and taking advantage of free events on campus too. I know you were talking earlier about how that is built into your tuition. So why not take advantage of those things?
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, I think all of them have like free food, right? College students, free food. It kind of goes hand in hand. So a lot of that stuff is already, built in. So, an event will be free, but you're a student at the college, so you're paying it, in a roundabout way, but you're not paying those out-of-pocket costs, which is really nice. And another thing, like some colleges over the summer, maybe during the school year, during those less busy times, like a J term, summer, whatever, might offer some really cool perks. Like myself, I didn't move home in between years at college. I stayed on campus because the school that I went to, instead of having their residence halls sit empty over the summer, they actually rented them to students for, well, what I feel like is barely anything. So I lived up there over the summer. I worked, and then sometimes they offered like discounted classes over the summer, so I could get ahead over the summer. Plus, I was making money, and and not every college might have that, but it's something to check into. So free events, other perks on campus that you might be able to take advantage of. So books, cutting costs where you can. If you can make an interest payment every now and then, it won't hurt.
Yeah,
definitely. And don't forget, every dollar saved is a dollar not borrowed. So that's another helpful piece. If you feel like maybe making a student loan payment isn't in your wheelhouse, maybe just save it for the next semester so you don't have to borrow it too. So awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, any other, before we sign off, any other tips or tricks that you as a current college student would like to impart on your peers and future college students?
Well, I think I would just say be wise in your financial decisions. Really be aware of where your money is going and how you're choosing to spend that money. Just don't feel that just because you're young, you can't research and explore your financial future more. It's just so empowering to know, like I said, where your money is going and what that student loan is going to look like after college. So be informed.
Yeah. And check out the Bank of North Dakota website, especially kind of towards the end of the summer and the fall. You'll be able to see all of Emily's wonderful hard work as a resource, which I'm very sure we'll do a Facebook Live video on some of those later. So, all right, everyone, thanks for joining Emily and I today. Like always, give us a like, turn on those live notifications. I didn't see any questions come through. Darn. And then Stacy and I will actually be live together this coming Friday at the Dakota College at Bottineau. If you've noticed, we've been at a lot of the colleges, but not Bottineau yet. So we are going to be in Bottineau on Friday at their pre-registration day that they have for their students. So it's going to be a pretty cool event. So we're excited to travel up there. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you on Friday.